Now, coming up on Joy News Prime over the next 2 hours, President Mahama and 6 other colleague world leaders sign up to commitments that will, among others, help unmask the real owners of businesses, a vital tool that could significantly boost the fight against corruption. Meanwhile, President Mahama has told the BBC he's never taking a bribe in his life.
Of anything as president. Oh, no, I haven't taken a bribe.
Workers of Cocoa Board call for removal of their chief executive. They accused of corruption. Thousands pick up e-vouchers from Ghana Commercial Bank branches across the country. The first step to getting enlisted into the Ghana Police Service.
And coming up in business, IMF approval of Ghana's performance under the fund's bailout program has been criticized as inconsistent with current economic realities.
And Ghana Health Service sets up center to help women who lose their babies during childbirth. My name is Israel. Thank you for making time. Joy News Prime is available across Europe on ABN Television. Do stay tuned. Now, Ghana, along with 6 other countries, Britain, Afghanistan, Kenya, France, the Netherlands and Nigeria, have agreed to publish registers of who really owns companies in their territories, a so-called register of beneficial ownership. This is a key goal of anti-corruption groups. 6 more, including Australia, will consider doing so. Now, here is what Ghana committed to. One of them being beneficial ownership. Ghana is committed to preventing the misuse of companies and legal arrangements to hide the proceeds of corruption, and commits to strengthening further both the Companies Bill and the Petroleum Exploration and Production Bill that are currently before Parliament to ensure that we have public beneficial ownership information and central register for all sectors, including oil and gas sector, in line with UNCAC and FATF recommendations, as well as the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, EITS standards that Ghana is implementing. Now, it also talks about preventing the facilitation of corruption. And government also agreed to the public procurement and fiscal transparency, improving transparency in the commodity markets, reporting corruption, asset recovery, payment of compensation to victim states, international sport, tax transparency, promoting integrity in our institutions, and innovation. So these are a number of the things that President John Mahama put a signature to at that summit. Now, President Mahama, in an interview with the BBC, stated that it was important that the summit also considered where proceeds from illicit wealth are stashed.
We held the heads of state meeting so that we're all on the same wavelength. Because, of course, one of the things that came up is that there will be no thieves if there were not people receiving the stolen goods. And so it's as much important to look at the sources of corruption and the corruption that takes place, but also look at where, you know, the profits of corruption are kept. And that's why there is that look at the tax havens and where these monies are filched away, as much as looking at, you know, the sources of corruption.
Were you able to tell the Western countries that, listen, you keep on accusing us of corruption, but you are as guilty as we are?
It was put out quite strongly, and I think that it started with President Buhari when he arrived here, and the unfortunate remarks that were made. You know, I think that it is not, it doesn't create a good environment when there's finger pointing amongst us. We must be working as partners. And so when President Buhari was asked if he demanded an apology, he says, I don't know about demanding an apology, I just want my money back, you know. And so, yes, we must look at the sources of corruption, we must fix put the systems in place that prevent it from happening. But when it has happened, we must look at the advanced and developed countries where these monies, you know, are hidden, and make sure that there's a regime that is created where these monies can be returned back to the legitimate owners in the developing world. Yeah.
I read the Ghanaian press a lot, and you know, there's always talk about growing corruption within the country. Even some of your ministers have agreed. Have you had to prosecute or investigate any of your ministers, any of your close working aides, for collecting bribes or for corruption?
One of the things about countries like Ghana is that creating the environment where people are able to speak freely about corruption heightens the perception of corruption. And so it might be that because of the environment in which corruption is discussed, people have a perception that there's an increase in the incidence of corruption.
What about you, Mr. President? Have you been offered a bribe before?
You mean as president?
As John Mahama?
As a human being?
As a person?
Any human being in the world would have encountered, you know, corruption in a way, one way or the other, either being offered a bribe or a bribe being demanded from you. What you need to do is to put yourself in a position...
Mr. President, did you take it?
No, I haven't taken a bribe.
Now, 10 civil society organizations ahead of the summit petitioned President Mahama to cause the disclosure of the identities of persons behind the ownership of oil blocks. The groups have raised the alarm about the possibility of politicians hiding behind secretive non-disclosure legislation to award oil blocks to themselves. Mohamed Amin Adam of the Africa Center for Energy Policy was one of those who signed the petition. He joins me live to share his thoughts on the outcome of the summit. Now, good evening to you, Dr. Amin Adam.
Yeah, good evening as well.
All right, so beneficial ownership and the disclosure of the people, the real owners of oil blocks, is something that you had requested for. It has been included in the commitment. How that should make you happy?
Well, I think that we are happy, but we are also cautious as we celebrate the commitment expressed on behalf of Ghana by our president. Beneficial ownership is an issue of importance to us as a country, but to also the citizens of Ghana, because it will help us protect the integrity of our resources. Therefore, we can be able to tackle corruption. We can be able to trace the destination of corrupt money, and then we can be able to track people who are hiding behind shadowy companies or front to sign contracts with us and thereby enrich themselves at the expense of the real owners of the resources. So we are very happy about that. But having said this, it is not Ghana alone that expressed that commitment. Think about 6 African countries expressed commitment at the summit, including various provisions on how corruption can be addressed in our countries. And 4 of these 6 countries equally are committed to providing the public register of beneficial owners, except Tunisia, which did not make that commitment. South Africa did not, but South Africa last week, as part of their open government partnership requirement, expressed commitment to equally establish public register of beneficial owners. So we are very happy about that. But it is important for us to also know that Ghana has signed on to several international agreements and treaties, and yet we are not implementing most of what we have committed to as a country. What we want to see is a roadmap to implementing this commitment, because that is the only condition under which we can be satisfied that government is truly committed to implementing this commitment that our president has expressed on our behalf.
Now, Dr. Amin Adam, going into the summit, you were asking for the 10 CSOs were asking for certain specific things. Have all these specific things you're asking for been granted?
Yes, about 10 specific issues that we asked for, and 4 out of the 10 were provided by the president in his commitment. to the summit. One of these is what I've already talked about, the requirement for the establishment of a public register of beneficial owners. Number two is the commitment to passing the petroleum bill, the Petroleum Exploration and Production Bill. And as you know, we were arguing for the adoption of an open and competitive bidding process for acquiring oil concessions. We were asking for mandatory contract disclosure so that all contracts, oil contracts, mining contracts signed by our government must be disclosed for the citizens to know what our government has negotiated on our behalf. And so the commitment to passing the petroleum bill is also exciting. Also, we're asking for Ghana to adopt the open contracting data standard that will require the publication of all information relating to public procurement, from the inception of procurement through to the award of contracts for procurement purposes, through to the evaluation of the contractors that bid for the contract, and through to the execution of the contract. The president has committed Ghana to this as well. So there are about 4 of the 10 issues we were asking for, and that is exciting. But as I said, we want to wait and see
the implementation,
especially because our history, our experience has shown that Ghana is happy about committing because of our international reputation, but back home we do less as far as implementing those commitments are concerned.
All right, one other thing that's coming out of the summit, in an interview with the BBC, President Mahama was asked whether he had ever taken a bribe, and he stated publicly that he had never taken a bribe. That's quite a bold statement to make, don't you think so?
Well, I think it's a bold statement, and presidents are supposed to lead by example, and therefore to make that bold disclosure is commendable. However, a leader leading by example must also show that he will not countenance that kind of behavior. And therefore, if there are people who have been found to have been involved in corrupt deals, who have not been brought to book, who have not been made to face sanctions under the presidency of our president, then one wants to be very cautious taking the president by his word. It is important that the president would lead not only by himself, but also by his actions, also by his commitment and pursuance of the necessary institutions, the necessary resources that are required by the institutions to ensure that not only the president will not take bribes, but also other people who take bribes are brought to book and are penalized under our law.
All right. Thank you very much. Dr. Amin Adam is with the Africa Center for Energy Policy, and he was talking to us about the outcome of the anti-corruption summit that took place, or that's taking place in London. In other news, the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, ICU, is calling for the removal of the Chief Executive of the Ghana Cocoa Board, Dr. Stephen Upuni. The workers, clad in red garments and wielding placards, gathered at the Labour Ministry Thursday to present a petition to President John Mahama. Joy News' Raymond Akwa was there and filed this report.
The agitated workers carried placards with various messages, including corruption at Cocoa Board, Dr. Upuni, stop destroying Cocoa Board, and sharp decline of cocoa industry under Dr. Upuni's tenure. Presented the petition to Deputy Employment and Labour Relations Minister Baba Jamal. General Secretary of the ICU, Solomon Kote, accused Dr. Upuni of mismanagement and corruption, which has resulted in the state losing up to $10 million each year.
Workers are dying, their children are out of school, they are suffering without any source of livelihood. Now, this office has made an attempt to invite the Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, who is a major stakeholder in having these issues resolved. With impunity, he has not given credence and respect to a cabinet minister and will not attend any of these meetings that are being called. We are here this morning to let you know that the pain in the heart of these workers have brought the National Union to this particular presentation to the presidency. This is not to say it is enough. When issues that affected these WAMCO workers came and the board had met and he was expected to be present, He chose not to be present, and therefore executive decisions to be taken have not been taken, and this matter is still lingering on. Are we waiting to see the last worker in Wanko die before we rush to say, shall we give them befitting burial? God forbid.
Receiving the petition on behalf of government, Baba Jamal thanked the workers for their patience and assured them their concerns will be addressed very soon.
There is no matter that comes and we use a knife to cut it. It is coming to the table and discussing and going through legal means, as you have done, is the best way to go. I thank you for keeping the industrial peace. I'll continue to urge you. Please, we are not happy to see workers die. We are not happy to see workers lose their families. But you see, hello, we are not happy when we see people die. Please, I will only advise you, please continue to keep the industrial peace and take it from us. Take it from us. Take it from us that we are going to engage with COCOBOD to ensure that this matter is resolved once and for all.
Meanwhile, some workers who spoke to Joy News after the Deputy Minister's statement were not convinced their problems will be resolved soon.
We have heard this always. We have bring a letter to Mr. Spirgabra about almost 6 months ago. 6 months ago, the same thing. All the one case, everybody knows this case. 17 people have died from this issue because of hypertension, because of pressure. They have died, and most of our wives have left us. Our children have been sacked. Our children have been sacked because of this issue. Why? We are suffering.
What's the issue?
Because of the majority and the minority. That's why we are suffering.
Majority what?
Majority, the shareholder.
Yeah, what's the problem with the majority shareholder?
Oh, it's Ofoko. The name is Ofoko. He's a German guy. Because of the cocoa that we are not receiving, that's why we are still in the house.
They are not getting.
Meanwhile, labor expert Kofi Davo says Industrial and Commercial Workers Union ICU is jumping the gun by asking for the removal of the COCOBOD chief executive. According to him, the union must give authorities the opportunity to investigate the matter.
You've made allegations. These allegations need to be investigated. So at this stage, I would expect that their concern would be an investigation into the allegations that they have made. That should be their concern at this stage. Their concern is not for the removal of the chief executive because he has a right to be heard. They have made allegations. They must exert pressure, rightly so, as a pressure group, and ensure that these things are investigated, a case established against the chief executive before an appropriate action is taken. Remember, he is also a worker. He has a contract of employment, and whoever employed him cannot go out of that contract of employment to take any lateral action because workers are calling for it. It has to be investigated, and the process would have to be set in motion for that to be done. If his employers find the allegations credible enough for them to
Mr. Davo, considering how sensitive the Ghana COCOBOD is in terms of handling a major cash crop that ends the country, a lot of revenue.
Watching Joy News Prime, we're taking a break, but we have more stories coming up. Please don't go away. Ghana Commercial Bank has since Wednesday seen a rush on its branches by persons seeking to join the Ghana Police Service. E-vouchers, which will give the applicants access to online portals where they can complete the needed forms, went on sale, and already almost 10,000 have been snapped up. Though the vouchers will continue to sell until May 31, the hundreds eager to join the force are not interested in any last-minute business. Ifwa Evans-Chinri visited one of the GCB branches and filed this report.
25-year-old Enoch Musi is one of the many jobless senior high school graduates who have been waiting for the chance to join the police force. He left his home at Tabora Alaji here in Accra first to the Tantra Hills branch of GCB Bank to chase the e-voucher that will give him access to the online portal. The challenge for many like him has been the long waiting queue to purchase the voucher. How many people were here when you got here?
They gave us a number, so I was number 66. So before I get here, so many people have left. So that's why.
So did you try to go by somewhere before coming here?
Yeah, I went to Tentrahel. Yeah, I went there. So when you get there, the queue was very, very long. So we decided to come here. That's why we are here.
And how has the process been like so far?
Oh, very cool. The manager here is very, very good. So he talked to us in a polite way.
Is it slow or is it going the way you want it to?
Oh, you see, you cannot get it like that, easy like that. So we take it like that.
Enoch has been helping his mother since he left school in 2011 and seized this opportunity as a big break, even though there's no guarantee he will be enlisted. What have you been doing?
I'm just helping my parents to do their farms and those things.
Why do you want to join the police service?
I want to defend my country. I want to help the country to go to the next stage. That's why I want to join the police service.
Enoch badly wants a job, but he adds he also wants to serve his nation. The other prospective applicants in the queue here have also been without jobs since they left school.
When we got here, we were like, we'll get something, but we waited and still. But I'm okay because I've gotten mine for now.
Gotten what?
I mean, something that will show that I can go to the cafe.
What's that?
I mean my serial number.
We are moving towards, but as we can see the queue, we are still in the queue waiting for our colleagues to finish so that we also move on. I'm a teacher, I'm teaching but in St. Lutheran School, but still, you know, nowadays there's no government sector. When you're applying, you'll be moving up and down. So now, if there is opportunity for you to join the police service so that you also be a member of government, fine.
I want to join the police service because I want to serve my country and help fight the corruption. Yes.
Actually, you know, before you get a job or before you work for someone, you have to have the passion. Firstly, you know, the passion that maybe you have for a work, you know, will determine what you want to do for that person. So it's like I have the passion to be as like a police officer. Moreover, I've been in the barracks for the past 2 years. So it's like the passion. Sometimes you can't meet me with the police officer being at the counter, you know, they'll be sending me doing this. So it's like the passion is there for me to work. That's why I want to join the police.
Enoch brought an extra voucher for his brother who also wants to join the force. He will next have to look for an internet cafe where he could complete the forms online. He's however chosen to do that another day, especially because of Thursday's rain. Unlike Wednesday, which saw a technical glitch with e-voucher sale platform, the process has been fairly smooth today.
It started yesterday, and my understanding is that it will end on the 31st of May. So far, so good. Yesterday, because it was the first time, there were some few challenges. But, the system was not stable. It was on and off, you know. So, but it was fine-tuned. So today we have not encountered any problems this morning. It will be very difficult for me to tell you the exact. Yesterday they came, and what we did was, I gave them my telephone numbers, so they called to find out whether we've started working or not, which I confirmed the positive way. So they started coming. So when they came in the morning, as early as 7:30, I started serving them to make or to compensate for the loss yesterday. So we started serving them as early as 7:30. And as I speak now, I try to set up 2 tellers to be serving them alone, as against my traditional customers, because I just want them to fast track it for them so that we can have the opportunity to serve our traditional customers.
Bank officials have meanwhile urged calm amongst prospective applicants, worried that the e-vouchers will run out. But for those who have already secured their vouchers, the process has just begun. Shortlisted applicants will be called for further activities, including body screening, inspection of original educational and other certificates, as well as an aptitude test. Ifwa Evans Chinnery for Joy News.
Security expert at the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center, Dr. Kwesi Ening, has revealed that Ghana's participation in peacekeeping missions on the continent has exposed the country as a potential target of terrorist attacks. Government recently heightened security due to what it considered as a credible terrorist threat in the sub-region. Some Ghanaians had dismissed the calls for vigilance, insisting Ghana has done little for it to be on the radar of terrorist groups. But speaking to Joy News' Raymond Aqua, Dr. Ening affirmed that though these international responsibilities exposes the nation to attacks, Ghana is better off collaborating with others in the sub-region to fight the threat.
Irrespective of the shade and type of government that is in Flagstaff House, we always say yes to keeping the peace. And I think Ghana's important role in peacekeeping and international diplomacy, even in West Africa, is consistently sought after. Now, you mentioned the case of Mali. I mean, the Ghana Air Force, for one, is one of the most effective air forces in Mali right now. Probably we haven't praised ourselves and made too much noise. In La Côte d'Ivoire, at the height of the crisis, it was Ghanaian UN peacekeepers who provided protection for President Ouattara. And it's the same in Liberia, in Sierra Leone. I think what you really want is how best can we project ourselves in a much more aggressive manner. But unfortunately, sometimes in international diplomacy, you need to cede the space for others to take part of the credit. So I think we need to find some balance of sorts as to what we are doing and how we project it in a manner that is consensual, that is dialogic, and that gets other countries to say, wow, you know, these guys are doing well and we want to collaborate.
Let's turn the tables. I mean, there are those who are also really concerned that all of this really is getting us the wrong attention. Very active participation in some cases is getting us the wrong attention. Why shouldn't we rather concentrate on dealing with our local issues and protecting our sovereignty and our security for that matter, rather than spreading out there, which may get us attacks?
Well, as part of the global community, we cannot just say that we are dealing with our domestic issues. Increasingly, there's an overlap between what is domestic and what is international. I do agree with you that the way that we engage in multiple peacekeeping operations is also contributing to probably bringing a certain extra awareness to who we are and what we do. If you remember, post the Grand Bassam attack, Al-Qaeda issued a statement basically declaring us as satanic and also stating very clearly that we become a legitimate target for their attacks because we joined France in Mali. So there's a certain recognition increasingly that peacekeeping is not just about peacekeeping, going to reconstruct somebody's country, that it can have a negative, unexpected consequences on us. And I think that recognition is there. We've accepted that we will lose people consistently. The blowback that we are now experiencing from more violent forces and extremist forces like Al-Qaeda is new, but I think that is what we are factoring into the training that we provide here.
Watching Joy News Prime, we're taking a break at this point. When we come back, we'll bring you business news, and then the rest of the bulletin or the stories will follow. Stay tuned. Right, time for business, and well, yesterday we got news that the IMF has approved Ghana's latest tranche, or we're going to be getting some money from the IMF pretty soon. All right.
And I told you yesterday that there were question marks as to the correctness of the figures, or the pass mark, so to speak. And the economists are already raising such sentiments.
Okay. So they're curious why or how come the IMF approved or passed this
because
when they were
some of our economic indicators have not been too favorable. I mean, our inflation is unstable or has been unstable for some time. And there are question marks on election spending, I mean, even though government has proposed that it will not overspend.
So even though the IMF is pretty confident in the roadmap or whatever arrangements we put in place, you're saying the economists are saying otherwise?
Yes, I mean, we spoke to Professor Bokpin, who says that the IMF only did that in the interest of Ghana, just to maintain market confidence. So it's like strategically.
Let's hear what he has to say.
All right. So thanks for joining me on Business. And the IMF's approval of Ghana's performance under the bailout program has been criticized as inconsistent with current economic realities. The IMF on Wednesday handed over the pass mark to Ghana after it completed a 2-week review of some economic indicators and granted approval for the release of $116 million into the coffers of the Bank of Ghana. But speaking of the marketplace on Joy News, the head of finance department at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Bokpin, noted that the IMF is aware the country has not performed well in many economic indicators. According to him, the IMF only passed Ghana because it needed to restore market confidence in the best interests of the country.
Generally, it will be good news for Ghana that we have passed the review. I'm very, very sure that the IMF knows very well that we have not done well along all the indicators. But I want to believe that what will be in the best interest of Ghana now in our effort to also generate market confidence and attract the much-needed foreign investment and build local confidence in the economy will be to say that broadly the program is on course. I mean, there are certain indicators that we have missed, and the variance is quite huge. Take inflation, for instance. Okay, inflation is way above even the upper band in terms of the target. Okay, the program has done very little to actually bring inflation down, and more so because we have not focused on the real sectors of the economy and also the physical consolidation process imposing costs in the economy itself. The economy is actually absorbing all those things, as well as the energy sector levies and then the adjustment through transportation and all of that. You see, the price development, let's call that one inflation, is actually inconsistent with the objectives of the program.
That was Professor Bokpin. Meanwhile, about $116 million of IMF funds will hit the Bank of Ghana's account by July this year. This is the proposed time that the fund is working with after concluding the 2-week review of Ghana's performance under the program. The IMF approved the country's performance after the review process. George Rafi has more.
According to Ghana's representative on the IMF Executive Board, Jafar Mujarrad, the mission team to Ghana is hoping to make a presentation to the IMF board before the end of this month with the necessary disbursement to be made. Under Ghana's program with the fund, anytime the country makes progress in terms of meeting certain targets, the IMF releases part of the funds located under that program. However, in Ghana's case, some $1 billion is being made available under the 3-year program. According to the IMF, the release of the funds will be based on the finalization of the required documentation, including the new Financial Management Law and the amended Bank of Ghana Act, and a strategy for addressing the financial situation of state-owned enterprises. However, for government, it is not just about the funds coming in, but how this thumbs up from the fund will go a long way to restore market confidence in the economy.
Now, GOIL says it exceeded its fuel sale targets by 20% in 2015, despite the challenging market conditions as well as stiff industry competition. The oil marketing firm, at its annual general meeting on Thursday, also revealed it has achieved the biggest market share of 17% out of the over 85 oil marketing companies in the country. Daryl Kwao attended the AGM and has come through with this report.
2015 was a tough year for oil marketing companies. The uncertainties about the deregulation policy and the falling crude oil prices globally meant oil marketing companies had to be more strategic to keep their heads above water. These were some dynamics that impacted the performance of the national oil marketing company, GOIL. At the company's AGM, board chairman Professor William Esumening attributed the firm's success to its continued focus on growing its core business.
We maintain our philosophy that basically GOIL is a Ghanaian company, and therefore we should rather give them Ghanaians a service rather than making excessive profits. So we did sacrifice a little bit of our profits to be able to maintain the prices. Otherwise, we should have increased prices, but we decided to stay the same or even went down just to be of service to Ghanaians in general. Because when we make the profit goes back to Ghanaians. So why do you take the money in the first place? That has been our policy.
The company recorded a 22,211 Ghana cedi profit after tax for 2015, a marginal increase from the previous year's figure. Professor Sumening shared with Joy Business the company's plan to stay on top of the game.
Our immediate plans are to increase our stations to a certain number and stay at that level, but go into aviation strongly, go into bunkering strongly, start our bitumen storage and distribution, and also possibly enhance our distribution of LPG to domestic homes, as strongly as we've been selling fuels to vehicles.
Now, the country's quest to move towards a cashless society appears to be gaining some support from the telephone companies. Most of them, over the years, have introduced several electronic products to help reduce the amount of cash used in business transactions in the country. The latest telco to follow in the trail is Airtel, which has introduced the first mobile-based lending scheme, that is Airtel Money Bosia. Now, Head of Marketing, Rose Finn, says the product will help bring persons outside the financial system into the mainstream banking.
Cashless transactions have become the order of the day in many developed countries. Ghana, as a developed country, is currently pursuing initiatives to introduce a system where businesses can be transacted without using physical cash. In light of this, Airtel Ghana has launched the Airtel Money Bosia, Ghana's first mono-lending scheme. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch, the head of marketing for Airtel Mobile Money, Rosie Finn, said this new product by Airtel will help improve the transition to a cashless economy by reaching out to a large population both within and outside the formal banking sector.
We are in an economy where the truth is there are a number of people who do not have access to a bank and do not feel comfortable going into a financial institution or into banking halls. And we do not want to eliminate these people from having access to financial services. And so this is one great way through Airtel Money where you can stay in the comfort of your home, sit down, relax, and have access to a loan when you desperately need it. There really are a whole number of Ghanaians who are excluded from regular financial institutions and cannot get a loan. What we are saying is that, look, we have to play our part in ensuring that all of these people have access to funds when they need it, and especially in desperate situations, so that they also can become a part of the financial inclusion initiatives in this country. And we really think it's going to help with ensuring that Ghana becomes a cash-light economy in the shortest term possible.
The product is a partnership between Airtel, Fidelity Bank Ghana, and Tiaxa. The product seeks to provide small loans to all Ghanaians through their mobile money wallets. The Director, Inclusive Banking and CSR of Fidelity Bank, Dr. William Durban, also expressed appreciation for such an initiative.
We always pride ourselves in the fact that we want to extend financial services to as many people as possible. But we also recognize that there are many ways in which people access financial services. It's not everybody that would come to a bank. Recently, we launched our agency banking so people can go to an agent. And I think the mobile side of things is also another important way in which people access finance. So for us, by supporting this venture, we know that lots of people have got mobile phones, almost everybody. So this is another way in which we can promote financial services through the mobile channel to everybody.
Being the first of its kind, the product is part of steps towards opening up the space for mobile phone-based lending in Ghana to a wide populace.
All right, so John has just joined me here to talk about the stock market and how it's faring. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Emmanuel. Today the market did not really experience that much in terms of volumes and values. It's only recorded at 6,775, the lowest, for the year. Year on year for the year. Between January and now, the lowest in terms of volume and a value of about 7,233. But then there's one positive thing that actually it brought. almost it increased the market in terms of capitalization. It did increase, and it was able to also decrease the margins on the composite index and the financial index. As at yesterday, the financial index was recording almost about 12%. Now it's about 11.95. No matter how marginal it is, it's actually been able to decrease it a bit. So for those investors on the market, they would feel some respite in there. And of course, the composite index also did decline, and also the market capitalization was able to move from 53 billion to 54. So irrespective of how insignificant that movement is, it's been able to actually do some wonders on the market there. And then only one equity actually saw the market move. We talk about ETI, that's EcoBank Transnational Incorporated, where it did actually add 1 pesewa to its investors' capital to close the market at 18 pesewas per share. Now, one thing is, as companies actually beginning to declare profits and declare dividend to their shareholders, I think the market is about to pick, activity level in the market is actually about to increase. We'll be about to also see a lot more gainers on the market. That's one key and a significant thing that affects the perception of the investor towards the various equities on the market. So we expect to actually see that. Now on the commodities market, basically, oil is also still trending as it started gaining, as I did indicate earlier yesterday, from 45. Now it's trading around $47.50 per barrel after gaining around $1.98 today. It's still trading, so I'm hoping that by the close of the Mercantile Exchange today, oil may see some 78 per barrel. But gold, after gaining 11, now trading at 1,276.29 per ounce. That's also quite significant, an improvement there. So basically, but except cocoa, we did lose about $31 to be trading around 3,070 now. But then all in all, I think the commodity market has been doing quite well. Against the CD against the major trading currencies, the final thing we are doing for tonight. The CD did gain marginally against the US dollar, now trading around 3 Ghana cedis, 80 pesewas for $1 US. But against the British pound, the CD did lose. Against the euro, it lost. Against the Chinese one, it lost. And of course, it did gain marginally also against the CFA franc. So for 1 British pound, 5 Ghana cedis, 51 pesewas, you get 1. And of course, with 4 Ghana cedis, 35 pesewas, you get yourself €1. So that's, Emmanuel, that's how the market is actually faring. Quite tepid, as I always say, but let's see how it ends tomorrow, Friday.
Okay, thank you very much for that update, and that wraps up the business segment for tonight. Thanks for your company, and keep watching as more stories coming up shortly.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, many Ghanaians have over the years had cause to criticize the BNI for its blatant abuse of power and disregard for the rule of law. The most recent actions of the BNI have reignited calls for the organization to be checked or perhaps scrapped. Has the BNI become an outlaw organization in spite of the role it plays in ensuring Ghana's security? Is the BNI a necessary evil, a routine item on the condemnation menu of Ghanaians? The BNI is up to scrutiny in the latest edition of Joy FM's intellectual platform for leadership. The motion is the BNI is an outlaw organization and should be scrapped. Let's go live now to Elisa Hotel and get to speak to Latif Idris, who's there covering this for Joy News. Hello, Latif. Hello, Latif.
Start with when I was deputy minister.
Hello, Latif. Okay, fortunately, we do not have Latif at this moment, and so let's get to Elisa Hotel and see. Hopefully, we can get some live feed from there.
Was not under me. I never attended any of BNI meetings or any oversight meetings on BNI. But having said that, you see, my constant reference to show me a strong government and I'll show you a strong intelligence security organization. I do so because the nation cannot survive without a strong intelligence gathering body that will keep the state on its move. And that is why we needed something like special branch, concentrating on intelligence for the survival of the state. What we have now is a BNI that has diverted off course completely, off course, and is handling debt collection and matters to the extent that, like I said, this voters thing. I am not saying that the voters registration exercise is something that BNI ought not to have gone inside. I'm saying BNI ought to have been able to predict or ought to have been able to tell government that because of things said by Jifa Ativo at the rally in Keta and other comments and other activities of certain personnel, we must be extra vigilant. There must be more policemen, more security men at all the stations. Otherwise, there is going to be chaos. The central point.
Okay, Dr. Enin.
National security and the functions of the BNI cannot and must not be trivialized. The work of agric extension officers is different from calculus and analysis and variables that the BNI does. And I think we've got to be careful here. The fact that the BNI is now at the other receiving end of our anger and of our emotions does not undermine the fact that it's a critical, important institution that contributes to the peace, security, well-being, and stability of this country. We trivialize and make fun of the BNI at our own expense and at our own security. A word to the wise is always enough.
Thank you very much. Right, let's go to Professor Atefo to wrap up.
Thank you very much, Inshira. Ladies and gentlemen, wrap up time, and I will give each side 1 minute. We'll begin with the pros. You will choose your captain. I realize that there's a captain to my right, but for the wrap up, whether the captain will captain the pro side or not, you seem to be putting your nose together. Should I go to the cons? The cons ready? Yeah. You are ready.
Captain is ready. Okay.
The captain is ready.
In the meantime, we've been joined by numerous listeners on social media, and just going to share a couple.
Right, so that was the Thought Leadership Forum that's taking place at the Alita Hotel. Like now, we're taking a break at this point. When we come back, we'll bring you international news. Right, so what's coming up on Joy News Interactive? Aisha is here. She's going to be telling us all about that. Good evening to you, Aisha.
Oh, good evening to you, Israel. It's time for you to know what we will be interacting about pretty soon. I tell you some interesting conversations coming up shortly. Now, first, today is International Nurses Day, so we want you to share with us your best and worst experiences with a nurse.
My worst experience with a nurse was when I needed attention. She told me to wait, and all I could see was she was busy chatting with other people when I was also waiting, thinking she would come back and get back to me, but she was still chatting with other people.
You think you're the only one who has something to share, right? Wait until you hear from the nurses what they think about you whenever you visit the hospital.
The worst experience was when a relative came in to visit, and the time for visiting wasn't due. So he wasn't so happy, I had to send him back out until he waits for the visiting time. He wasn't so happy with that.
Very interesting conversation. And the Ghana police is now doing online recruitment. We ask whether this strategy will help deal with the problem of scam.
Formally, with the hand in hand, people are able to fraud lots of the people who want to get into the police service. So I think online is the best way, because that one you only have to buy a scratch card after you just put things online, and then that's it. So if they are now being online, I think that's the best thing.
So I'll be back shortly to take all your views on all the trending issues. Please stay tuned.
Right, indeed, we'll be back in a bit with the headlines. Please stay tuned. Now, President Mahama and 6 colleague world leaders have signed up to commitments that will, among others, help unmask the real owners of businesses, a vital tool that could significantly boost the fight against corruption. Workers of COCOBOD call for removal of the chief executive they accuse of corruption. Thousands pick up e-vouchers from Ghana Commercial Bank branches across the country, the first step to getting enlisted into the Ghana Police Service. In business, IMF approval of Ghana's performance under the Funds Bailout Program has been criticized as inconsistent with current economic realities. Now to the rest of our stories. An estimated 11,000 newborns die each year in Ghana. Greater Accra alone accounts for nearly 2,000 of such deaths. The effect of this on the mothers of these babies is devastating and results in various complications and, in some extreme cases, mental disorders. The Ghana Health Service is trying to change the situation by setting up a center to assist women who go through postnatal trauma.
The Greater Accra Regional Health Directorate organized a program focusing on enhancing excellence in maternal and newborn care. The program was aimed at educating the public on the need to seek help on issues of postnatal stress. In some instances, mothers are denied the right to see their babies when they die. Elizabeth Arthur, a victim of postnatal trauma, narrates her ordeal.
I got pregnant, and at a point in time, they said the baby in my tummy is 25 weeks. But as at that moment, I was within my 38 weeks. So they said where the baby is in my tummy, it's like the baby is suffering. So I have to go through CS. So I asked them if that is the only thing which I can have my baby, and at the same time I can see my baby, then there's no problem. So they arranged. I was the first person who went at the theater, and the operation was successful. They took me inside, fine. But
the program, dubbed Hope for Restoration, is to publicize the setup of the center to provide psychological aid and counseling for fathers, mothers and families who are not able to deal with the pain and grief of losing their babies. Greater Accra Regional Director of Ghana Health Service, Dr. Linda Van Otu, spoke on the importance of the center.
The focus of this program is the launch of what we call the Hope Restoration Program. And the reason why we are doing this is that we have a lot of families who go through a lot of challenges because of pregnancy and childbirth. Some people lose their babies at the end of pregnancy. Some people lose their wives at the end of pregnancy. And some people have the babies born alive, but these babies have challenges. They have difficulty in developing and growing. Some of them, the women survive pregnancy, but they have a lot of complications. So we realized that we needed to offer them some mental support, because sometimes when it happens, they go home, they don't know who to talk to, they don't understand what happened. There's nobody to tell them whether there's anything that they could have done or something that they should do for the future. And some of them even decide that they will not have any more children.
Now, lack of funding from government has compelled authorities at the Ejunase Rehabilitation Center to drastically cut down admissions. Officials at the center, which trains inmates in rural crafts, shoemaking, hairdressing, catering, snail farming and crops, among others, say they have not received any subvention in the last 6 years and have had to rely solely on the benevolence of organizations and individuals to keep the facility running. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reports.
The Junase Rehabilitation Center currently houses 75 inmates instead of the 350 due to lack of funds. Since 2010, the center has been struggling to pay its utility bills and depends largely on donations from various benevolent organizations and individuals.
I have been here since 2004, and that has been the highest I've ever received. The regional accountant can testify to that. Able to take care of about 350 children, but currently I have only 75. And the situation is a contributing factor. And so I'm left with the choice: do I overwhelm the system and then we close down, or I keep a number that charity can contain? And that is what I'm doing. Divine intervention, just as it has happened today. I never knew these people, and so I didn't send any letter to them. They heard of us and came. So this is how we've been surviving.
Lack of teaching and learning materials is also challenging the effectiveness of education at the center. The center has no budget line to calculate the unit cost per inmate to be able to estimate what it has to receive from government.
It is a sad situation. And I would wish as a country we do not treat our own this way. They are living human beings, even, excuse me to say, animals like dogs, horses, etc., etc. People spend huge amount of money on them. Meanwhile, we are human beings, and we are part of society. Our circumstance should not discount us. And so I call on everyone, including government, to find out. I always say there is a systemic problem, because this problem runs through all governments that come. It runs through all governments. And so there is a systemic problem that needs to be identified and corrected. How come that an institution like that hasn't got a budget line on its own? I think that is the systemic problem that needs to be addressed. And I would want to call on all civil society, churches, individual philanthropy, etc., to give support. These are human beings. We need to take care of their survival. We need to take care of their development needs.
Meanwhile, members of the Kwadaso Estate Keep Fit Club have wholeheartedly donated some assorted food items, sandals, clothing, among others, to the center. Chairman of the club appealed to other benevolent organizations to come to the aid of the center.
By the doors, the force, birds bear and nine, the more backs bear a do.
We bought foodstuff worth 5,000 Ghana cedis. We are also here to feast with the inmates. Let us all reach out and support these inmates.
We're taking a break. Up next, we bring you entertainment. Right, so yesterday I was left all by myself. Today, well, Gladys is back here, bailing me out. Good evening to you, Gladys.
Hi, Easy.
All right, I don't want to talk about what happened yesterday.
No, but
and
for all those who thought you were lonely, ignore them. It's just a perceived thought. You were not.
You mean it's all in my mind?
Did you think you were lonely?
Yes, I was.
Oh, really?
I was. Well, let us go back to that.
No, it's okay. I admit that you don't want to go back. Let's move forward. Yeah,
let's move forward.
Yes.
And we're going to deal with this, you know, off air.
Off air, because there's a lot of juice. You don't want to spoil the.
Okay, spill it.
Yeah.
Spill it.
You know, Lydia Forson actually went on social media talking about the fact that Hammamat.
Yeah, Hammamat.
Yes, her outfit for the VGMAs. She should just feel free because nobody bought the attire for her.
Yeah.
It's in nobody's place to decide who should wear what is decent, what is not decent. Well, so I had an exclusive encounter with the Deputy Minister for Tourism, Jifa Gomashi, and, well, she says that she's heard the debate on social media. She did not particularly say Lydia, but she only said that she's heard the debate on social media, but do not blame your indecent dressing on a cultural right, which is depot, because Lydia mentioned that when we do depot and we want to get away with it, but when people wear certain outfits, then you want to lambast them on the particular outfit. So you can listen to how Jifa exactly puts it now, yeah?
Some people they just didn't wear anything. So yeah, that's what it was. Perhaps they will also say that I came to cover it up. The argument is going on social media and on other platforms of who determines what's decent and who determines what's not decent. But my answer to them is that don't use Dipo and don't use Bragro, because that's an activity within a cultural setting. And it's an event that introduces teenagers or adolescents into womanhood. It's a teaching experience, and it's not done on a daily basis. And after that event, the girls that you see in the Dipo Bragro, they don't go around like that every day. The criticism of the good and the bad and the ugly are all part of the terrain. So you must, if you are willing to dress like you are doing Bragro, you should be willing to hear the backlash as well. But of course, I mean, I'm not determining for anybody how they should dress. I'm just saying that we have laws in this country. I've said this before and people misinterpreted it. But thankfully, Ladia Yenini, Samson quoted the law in this country that frowns on that. If it's an indecent exposure, it's an indecent exposure. And you know it yourself. The moment you start tucking in and pulling down, then you know there's a problem. Nobody tells you to do that. You do it yourself, consciously. You try to, when you see people are looking, you try to cover up. So you know there's a problem.
All right, so she has some interesting views there.
She does.
And these are views I would expect that, you know, typically she just get onto Facebook and post them. Did she post anything, any such thing on
well,
Facebook?
Well, you know the traditional, well, people have actually felt that she's too quick to post comments when she sees something go wrong. Sometimes somebody may have made a mistake and then she'll quickly go on Facebook to type it out. She says that she doesn't do that just to antagonize anybody, right. But the whole idea is that if you make a mistake, the whole world has listened. So it's an opportunity for her to also get somebody else educated so the person learns from that mistake and that mistake doesn't become a normal thing or an accepted something. That's how she explains it. But well, maybe she put it in a better form than I have explained.
All right.
Yeah. You
want so essentially, that's why she would get onto Facebook that often to post stuff.
She's the Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, and social media has become another entity for entertainment. And so once it's her ministry deals with creativity and all, she needs to reach out to a lot of people. And so the smallest opportunity she would make, why not?
See. All right.
You want to listen to her, or you want to
let's
move on?
Let's move on. What else? Give me the rest of the Jews.
Have you heard Nadia? Who Nadia's, you know, the fiancé, the guy behind the twins, those twins.
The father of Nadia's
twins.
Babies.
Yes, the father of Nadia's babies.
She says she's not Ghanaian. As far as I'm concerned, she says they're not Ghanaian. I mean, he's not Ghanaian.
Yes, he's not Ghanaian.
But I don't know who he is.
She still wouldn't disclose the identity. Interestingly, she wouldn't. And no matter how much, you know, Bula actually did that interview, and no matter how much Bula pushed her, she simply refused. So once again, she's gotten the media asking questions and talking. You know, eventually the media shunned her. If you won't tell us who he is, then we are ignoring you. Now she comes on and everybody is glued to their set listening, and she swerved them again. So now on social media, Nadia swerves again. She wouldn't reveal the identity of who the man is.
I'm wondering why that is such a big deal and why she doesn't. She's keeping it
for all
so
you know,
close
she's
to
enjoying the suspense.
It's possible.
Yes,
and
the
all
anxiety,
the attention. In fact,
exactly.
Yeah, people are talking about her. Nadia
exactly. But did you see her at the VGMAs?
Oh yeah, I saw her. I saw her.
Yeah, so there's also another caption that says that Nadia wears braless dress even though she's a mother of twins.
Well, on that score, she probably wants to show off and tell you that, well, yeah.
She's still back on track.
I'm very much, I've been nowhere.
Exactly.
I've got everything else intact.
Sure, yeah, you got that. But now there's also an awards scheme that is seeking to, you know, empower and celebrate women celebrities, especially from Ghana. And this is being put together by the CEO of Glitz Magazine. You know, Glitz Magazine throws light on some of these celebrities we have, especially here. And she actually recounts the reason, the rationale behind this award scheme. And it's quite an interesting one. I think you should listen to this one.
We've launched Ghana Women of the Year honors. It's not a competitive award. We have a board set up, and the board selects women that will be honored every year. So it's purely by merit, and it's people from media, excellence in media, excellence in arts, excellence in health, education, advocacy, trailblazers. So it's different industry, and the board select which person in that industry needs to be honored this year. For me, I said that when I moved to Ghana, I've become stronger. And it's also because I've been very lucky to meet very powerful women, very strong women, and every one of them that I met inspired me. And when I go to young people, because I do a lot of speaking engagements with schools, and I meet a lot of young men, I mentor a lot of people, and sometimes it worries me when you ask them who are your mentors, and they say, okay, maybe Rihanna, or maybe even Oprah. We all have the Oprahs, but what I wanted people to understand is we have our own Oprahs down here in Ghana. It's all nice and well looking up there for inspiration, but it's better you can relate to these women here more, because it's the same challenges. If it's doomsday, they've gone through it. So you have no excuse to say because of that I wasn't able to do it. So for that reason, I created this, because I felt like we needed to shine light on women in different areas things are hard, but they are making it work.
Well, let's see how that goes.
Sure. And Abraham Attah has been adjudged the most influential child in Ghana.
Clearly, that's a given.
It is a given, yeah. I'm considering the fact that right after the movie premiered, even before the movie would officially premiere, he won awards already, and then afterwards the gig he brought home from Tom's, and he's been very, very influential. So he's been a judge.
Do you have any photos?
Yeah, at least I have the faces. Mr. and Miss Accra Psychiatry 2015, 2016.
You should have waited for us to do like a drum roll.
Oh, it came too fast. Well, but there you have your beauty queen and your, handsome man for Accra Psychiatry. This is actually to encourage them, to empower them, so that they also feel belong and they feel accepted. Having psychological issues, mental issues, does not necessarily mean that you are outside society.
All right, so Miss Ada put this together.
Miss Ada put this together. Her next stop is Pantan.
At what point did she come around from all that she had gone through to start putting stuff together?
My honest answer, I think I bail me out.
Okay, for me, because I think she essentially sprang out of the blue. Because for a long time we knew that she was in hospital, she was refusing to talk about her experiences and all that.
And now then we went quiet on it, so we all don't know at which point she actually picked up. But some have commended her that this is a brilliant and bold decision she took to empower. I'm almost tempted to say her colleagues at the Accra Psychiatry, but
her colleagues?
Did I actually say that?
You said colleagues.
Let me get out of here before it's too late for me.
Did you say colleagues?
Let me see you tomorrow.
You're trying to say that she was there herself?
Easy, I don't know. Let me get out of here. Thank you.
You really brought us juice. Okay, thank you very much, Gladys, for bringing us all the juice in the entertainment world. Up next, we bring you sports with Gary Al-Smith. Right, so Gary has joined me, as I assured you, as I told you. Gary, good evening to you.
Israel.
And what's coming up in sports?
Well, we have some boxing, also some news from the EPL. We have some news from the Euros. We have 29 days to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you've been serializing and putting out some facts.
Yes, so we are doing it today now.
All right. Okay. Take it away, Gary.
Right, so the Black Bombers, the national boxing team, are said to be in the news at the moment. Joshua Clottey says that if they are camped for 3 months, they will win medals at tournaments. His comments come on the back of poor preparation of the national boxing team for the Olympics that will be held in August in Brazil.
They have to camp the guys at least 3 months, make them fight every continent in Ghana for amateur competition. See their weaknesses, but they don't do that. They just took the guys and take them to the games. That's why they lost. So they just took the guys and take them to the games. It doesn't work like that.
So what must be done?
I think they have to camp the guys 3 months and they put them in somewhere, give them good food, see them training, make sure that they don't go around with any woman. I think it makes its preparation. Not like you let the guys go home and do what they want and take them to the games. Yeah, that one they're not gonna make it. They should camp them and make sure that they are in a good place, giving them good food, train very well, spar very well, take them to the games. They win medal, qualify to the games.
Joshua Clottey advising there. Now, more advice coming from the Ghana League Clubs Association, who had their swearing in today. You'll recall that a couple of weeks ago, actually it was on the 20th of April, they had the elections here in Accra. Kudjo Fiano, who has since been elected the chairman, contested with 2 others and won with 63 out of 106 votes. Today, the swearing in saw him share his vision and what he has for the next 4 years.
We need to engage ourselves seriously in email redemption, make the association very attractive. That is what we need to do now to get that confidence from corporate Ghana. And listen to the speeches, right from the past executive through to the current FA, the expectations are so high. You can only do that if you have a very strong engine room. That engine room must be the secretariat. We need to improve upon communication, our website. We need to get a very credible, hardworking admin manager. And I've already said it somewhere that we've already secured sponsorship from a company that is ready to take up the salary bill of the admin manager for 6 months.
In the English Premier League, there's news happening today. Yesterday, some teams were relegated because Sunderland had a Houdini act orchestrated by Sam Allardyce. Today, Roberto Martinez, who lost 3-0 to the Black Cats, has been sacked. It's said that the new manager will be announced shortly.